Hey, family, what we're going to do right now, as we always do, we want to put together our short intro video to let you know that our podcast has started. So if you could like, share, comment, join us. So this is the CSRN Weekend Review. We'll be right back.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, the other thing that we've got to come to see now that many of us didn't see too well during the last 10 years, that is that racism
not guilty
is still alive in American society and much more widespread.
Broke his neck after Baltimore police.
A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who.
Many in moments of anger, many in moments of deep bitterness, engage in riots. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.
Mr. Gray's death was a homicide.
The Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery.
The athletes marched onto a stage.
But at the same time, the nation refused to give him land to make that freedom meaningful. Freedom without land to cultivate. Freedom and famine at the same time.
And create jobs for our people.
The Negro is to be free. He must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. Our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
And I'm one of the co-founders of CSRN along with Mike Leonardi in Jabril Bay. About 9 years ago, we're going on 10 years, Jody.
Yeah.
All right, 10 years. Mike Leonardi in Jabril Bay, who we saw just this weekend too. Both of them had an idea to have what they call Community Solidarity Day where just ordinary people can come out and speak truth to power. You don't have to be pastors, politicians, preachers, or professionals. Just have yourself a bullhorn and some facts, and you can organize and make your community a safe and decent place to live. And they brought me on a little bit after to help plan and organize. And here we are. Today I have on my brown rimmed glasses. I've got on my black hat, and yeah, today I have on my try that in a small town shirt with a chair right there. As Luther said, a chair is still a chair. And as always, I'm dedicated to respecting, protecting, and defending all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. This is the home of Black Lives Matter and Justice or Else. And I'm about to turn it over to Jody. If you can introduce yourself, what you're wearing, and then right after our mission statement, if you can give your Black Lives Matter moment, one of the things that we've done that really stands out to you.
All righty. What's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth, treasurer of this wonderful organization. For those of you out there that's listening, because we know Eastern Standard Time, you might be driving home or something like that. We describe ourselves because, you may come back and watch the show, see us live and everything. But right now, you can still listen to us on YouTube, on Spotify, right here on your own Facebook Live and Meta, as we call it, and that stuff here. So
Right.
To describe myself, I'm a big brown bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and stones and bones and fossils and things I've collected from people I've actually met on my journey while doing my journey, while figuring out through the mistakes, the minutia, and all this stuff. So they stay with me. And no matter what stage I'm at, no matter where I'm going, I always have something jingling to remind me of the people that are my strong foundation. For those of you out there that continue to watch us every single week or 2 weeks, because last week was election.
That's
we
right.
Thank you for coming back and listening. And,
That's what's up.
At some point, many, many years ago, we were just two guys standing on the corner screaming at people until reality caught up with fiction, and this is the world we live in now.
Right. Now everybody's screaming.
Yeah, everybody's screaming about something. We left all our boxes and labels and stuff and just came out and got bubbles, and
That's
labels and letters and everything else that identifies us, which I don't know. I don't need to no longer be identified. If you know me as a poet, as an author, as a filmmaker, as a chef, as a community liaison, as an elected official, as any of those things, I'm happy. Because at some point,
That's right.
I was homeless for a decade. People would drive by me without even stopping to think. Now, I can't go nowhere, especially within my city or the
Right.
tri-state area, because I got to go back to Chicago here in a couple of weeks without somebody knowing my first name, which is nice.
All right.
And how do you get to this point? A lot of people I see now are trying to find the quick ways out by I guess attaching themselves or I mean, I think learning is one thing, but when you're only doing something to see what you can get and then duplicate it, that's no longer learning no more. But
ends up being something else. All
yeah,
right.
it ends up being something else when you see somebody doing the same thing as you. Instead of congratulating them and seeing the sacrifice, a lot of people nowadays want to talk about one reason or another you shouldn't buy for them. And
That's right.
for me, I can't live that way. If I see somebody writing a book, I'm bringing it along with me. Somebody doing art, somebody giving out book bags. Come on, we can all help our community, because that's where the problems start, when people want to be bigger than the movement.
Right.
Where it just becomes your identity. This is not my identity. This is something I do not only for my community, but for myself, because I have to be an example. You should be an example. And we have foundations to make sure that even if we waver, even if the spotlight gets a little bit too much for us, we know where we're grounded at.
Right.
So we have what is called our mission statement and
our guiding principles.
And those keep us strong through whether it's one of us, two of us, or 100,000 of us. We know where we stand. So this is our mission statement. And again, thank you for tuning in. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014.
That's right.
The day after it was announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer, of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often, yes, most often, police brutality goes without consequence and accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice. Equal justice applied, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, yes, all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives, yes, Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Oh, that's what's up. All right. So if you could think about your Black Lives Matter moment, one of those things that we've done together that kind of stands out to you, what would be yours?
Well, I think I'm going to have to go to the point where we kind of solidified back in the beginning. We were still meeting at libraries.
True.
We're still meeting at libraries,
Yeah.
but it was a different feel. Again, maybe one day, hopefully, we'll have an audience that we can come to that can debate and communicate, and we'll put you on camera and all that stuff. But back then, it was still very shaky. You had people with identities that they wanted to be brought to the forefront, and people that were questioning things that they had never questioned before. One thing kind of solidified what we were, and that was going to MLK Day at UT.
Oh, yeah.
And doing a live protest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We were unhappy with the way that it had been presented over the years, more emphasizing law enforcement instead of the protest community, which is what brought us there. So we decided to give the public what they needed.
That's right.
And it turned out so well represented that they brought us back the next year as invited guests.
Right. As a performing act.
As a performing act. And it was kind of funny because we actually got to meet elected official, I'm not sure what her status is, Cori Bush.
That's right.
She was one of our speakers due to the incident that had happened down in Ferguson. And it was bringing a real life, these people who were just people, had regular jobs, weren't commissioned by anybody or sponsored by anybody or even, what is that word, politicized by anybody. We came together, and 9 years later, look at us now.
All right, that's what's up. Hey, I want to go ahead and start with our guiding principles. We just talked about kind of our foundation, which is our mission statement, who we are, and it's highly unlikely that's going to change because it's been successful. One of the things that we do to keep us grounded are our guiding principles, and I'm going to read those. All Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, wealthy Black lives, differently able Black lives, Black men and women lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children lives. All Black lives matter, and we are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe?
Ashe.
That means one who changes a thing or one who makes a thing happen. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we're currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work, embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe?
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be a part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe?
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct, loving communication. Ashe?
Ashe.
Love, self-love is brought into all we do. Love and self-love must be a driver of our work and an indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe?
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundations of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe?
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, essential, and intentional practice. Ashe?
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling their stories directly. Ashe?
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe?
Ashe.
And for me, and we're going to take a short break and come back with Ethan. Ethan Poetic. This brother is dynamic. My Black Lives Matter moment happens to be our first mayoral election. This was right after Paula Hicks Hudson, former mayor and state rep now, Paula Hicks Hudson was nominated to be mayor, and she had to run again. And there were maybe 6 or 8 people running. And this is one of the first times that has ever happened in Toledo.
Yeah.
And we were the first ones that submitted to have a mayoral forum, and we had all of the candidates come. It was at the University of Toledo. A really different flavor because it was activists, and we also took questions from online and text while we were there. So I think that's maybe one of the first times that had happened. So that was my Black Lives Matter moment. Jody, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with our brother Ethan Poetic, and I'm going to have him introduce himself. I'm not going to just give it all up right now. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. We'll be right back.
Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. The Joshua Treatment Center offers culturally relevant, inpatient, and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober, safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713 to talk to someone or schedule an appointment.
Hey, I'm Dr. P. Not only am I a leadership coach, I'm a change agent and I'm a race scholar. I've used my study of race to dismantle systems and organizations, but I also use that to help you as the individual become a better leader for your families and for your community.
All right, we are back. This is the CSRN podcast, or our weekend review. Why is this mic right in front of me? Hey, listen, before we bring on our first guest, as always, we got to ask brother who he is, what he's wearing, and what are we talking about today. But before that, I want to if I could just play the short video I found about this brother online. So family, check this out. This is Ethan Poetic.
Go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mills University. This year is my 11th year anniversary as a walking living miracle. I had a 99% chance of death versus 1% chance of life. The math says I should have died, but when it comes to God, he crossed out the 99% and said I shall live and enter a new chapter of my life. And in that new chapter, I transitioned from being a student athlete to graduating from Harrisburg Area Community College, Millsville University. I've been awarded several accolades from 2 politicians, such as the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Citations, recognized by my own alma mater, Millsville University. I've been recognized by WGAL, Lancaster newspaper. Special shout out to Barbara Barb and John Walk for believing in the story and going through it. This year is my 11th anniversary. It's more about the celebration of life. And that celebration of life is working with student athletes, because I was once one of them, and also building relationships with the parents, family, and some of their older and younger siblings. And in this transition as my 11th year anniversary, I like to give honor and glory to God, because without him, I would not be present. I would not here. And last but not least, I would not be where I am moving forward. Moving forward, I just want to give you a heads up that I am working on my autobiography, and the details will be coming out soon this year. Also, I'd like to thank all those who believed in me when I was down and out and are still there. And finally, for 11th year anniversary for living a productive life, I didn't see myself in this position when I was in that hospital bed, on that feeding tube, and underweight. But I believe there's more to come in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my 11th year anniversary, celebration of life as a walking living miracle. Thank you.
And as always, that's our brother Ethan Poe. Oh, they're giving him applause. Man, come on. I don't even get that applause. Let's bring our brother in from the green room. All right, my brother Ethan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for this opportunity. It's great to be on here. It's also going to be an amazing story to inspire the viewers, the listeners. This year is my 12th year anniversary as a Walking Living Miracle. I'm a self-published author. My book is called The Inspirational Story of Ethan A. Poetic, Chronicles of Adversities, Education, Sports, Relationships, and Resiliency. It's available print on demand, Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, or you can buy the book directly from me, ethanspeaks.com, for serious inquiries for keynote speaking, and of course the book where I just mail it to you and sign it, date it, and that book will be one of the best investments you'll ever invest into for literature, inspiring the youth to overcome their own adversities, and using it for leadership development, because this book is rich, and I'm ready to go all in.
All right. Well, that was an awesome intro. Okay. Hey, listen. Nice. All right. I wanted to ask you this. You talk about the 12th year anniversary of you having a 99% chance of death. Do you mind sharing with with everyone that watches our podcast and listens to our podcast, what happened, brother?
Let's see. I'm basing this off of research. Basically, I was involved in a near-fatal car accident where I had a 99% chance of death versus 1% chance of life. The driver ran into an 18-wheeler, and I was right behind the driver as far as like passenger-wise. I should have died within 3 to 5 minutes of internal bleeding, but it just didn't happen that way. Traffic was backed up both ways, 5 miles each. The police arrived, the fire department arrived, the ambulance arrived, and next thing you know, you got the news people from television and radio. It was like a scene from Law and Order or the Fast and Furious. It was that bad of a car accident with the 18-wheeler. Can you imagine the police spraying up the yellow tape to secure the section to do their own internal investigation? Can you imagine the fire department using the jaws of life to cut the car in half? Can you imagine the ambulance people checking my pulse, to see if I'm still breathing.
Man.
So they end up putting a neck brace on me. Then they put me on a stretcher. And then it's an ambulance ride to Lancaster General Hospital, which is about 30 to 40 minutes away from Paradise, PA. I don't remember the car accident. Only thing I was able to do is just do my research on Facebook, the internet, and other people's accounts, because it's like it's just a situation where I don't remember. The only thing I remember is everything prior to the car accident, which is like a gas station, shopping outlets, restaurants. That's it.
So what is it that, I mean, I can't imagine I've never been involved in anything even close to that. So after all of that, it seems like a person would just sit at home and just be thankful. So what makes you inspired to write about it and then inspire others through that story?
Well, a lot of things took place. After the hospital, being there for over a month, there was also the rehab, then being on this feeding tube, and just being in that situation where I'm on the couch or in my bed with all this time, looking back on life, seeing all these visitors, getting all these phone calls. And eventually there was a recovery, and I also talk about, more of the journey of certain things that trying to hinder me. What ended up inspiring me to write the book was spring of 2020. It was the Verona's family invited me over for lunch.
Okay.
And, the key to a man's heart is through his stomach. We're eating together, fellowshipping together. It's a Greek family. They got their traditional values. And one person mentioned, Ethan, you should write an autobiography about your story. My eyes lit up like, huh? Then another person seconded the motion. Another person. It was pretty much a majority looking at me like, it's time for you to write it. I wasn't ready to do that because I wasn't ready to be that vulnerable talking about that stuff. I always wanted to write a book.
Right.
But it happened. Going back even further, I never intended on being in this position. It's just a situation where I thought, okay, I got this job while working the after school program back in college.
Yeah.
I thought I could just go about my life in a merry-go way. But it's just a situation when I'm in my situation where you got so much news coverage and social media coverage about a car accident and being on over 30 prayer lists. I repeat, over 30 prayer lists around the world. That doesn't just go away.
That's true.
And it just became a situation since I was working with the youth. Parents would come up to me and ask me, is this you from the car accident? Because parents and guardians are doing their due diligence to make sure they know who is with their kid, just in case their background checks don't come up clean or just in case HR lets something slip.
That's right.
And it got to the point where I didn't like all that attention coming to work because I just wanted to focus more on my life. I talked to my boss about it. He told me this key phrase, I'm inspiration. I got to learn how to deal with it. And I just was able to get some help from other people to start creating posters for student athletes and local leaders where I can recognize them on social media and it can show that I move forward from the car accident, not back.
Wow.
Because in some situations, some people end up getting caught up in the opioid epidemic and their addiction, and that just didn't happen with me. What also allowed me to be inspirational is just it happened organically. Every year I celebrate my anniversary as a celebration of life. I got a new theme to talk about. I got something else to show gratefulness for. Because usually what I would do is just post it on social media, hey, like a post. But eventually it became a situation where it's trying to give my anniversary a voice. Give my anniversary for the listening viewers and people who look up to me that life still goes on after a car accident. Life still goes on after a rehab. Life still goes on after being on a feeding tube and all the other adversities I faced afterwards. Ultimately, when I self-published my autobiography, it was the best choice I ever made because I'll tell you a quick story. There was this publishing company that contacted me and asked me, is it true? You're working on your autobiography? I said, yes. They sent me this contract over. Everything looked good on paper. I asked them certain questions. They passed that part. The deal breaker in the situation in a transition point was this. They said if I signed with them, and if they decided to make a movie out of my story with the soundtrack, they will own the lion's shares. In other words, they will get all the profit from it. And I realized you're already thinking about a multi-million-dollar deal, and we're just talking about over the phone.
Well, hey, Ethan.
Like they weren't feeding me. So I ended up turning that down, and I realized I could do a 50 Cent, Tyler Perry, Eminem, Dr. Dre did. Create your own movie and own soundtrack independently and look for that distribution deal.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I've got Jody sitting next to me, and he's also an author. And when you were talking about signing that contract and the company will get the lion's share, is that true, Jody? Is that how it goes?
Is very, very true. In entertainment, that is mostly why it's becoming a dead genre now. Because as artists, as creators, as inspirational people, a lot of us, especially during, I guess you could say, the unspeakable virus we don't talk about, we learned that they're making money off of our trauma, off of our experiences, and they get the lion's share. You see in the news now so many days about artists selling their catalogs or going to lawyers to get their catalogs. And if in the beginning, it's tempting. They're going to give you a lot of money and change or whatever, but in the back end, you're paying out so much in distribution and advertising that you wind up broke with your story to tell, but nothing to hold on to.
Wow.
So that's also why I've been independent for the last decade. It does get tempting at times when stuff is hard, but back to you.
All right. And I'm glad that you shared that. Ethan, we've got a couple of questions for you. Your parents, your guardian, your loved ones, how did they get through this, if you don't mind sharing?
Based on what I was told, let's see. Somebody called my dad while he was hosting a baby shower. He stopped the baby shower and left. I was told he was driving over 100 miles an hour on the back road to Langston General Hospital. He called my mom and told her what happened. I don't know where she was at, but she stopped what she was doing. And it just became a situation where let's focus on Ethan, even though we're not together.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time in a long time I've ever seen that happen.
That's amazing.
That took death. And all I can say without telling too much is that it's like, and I talk about this in my book, people show up to the hospital, rehab, they're on their best behavior.
Yeah.
God spare the funeral arrangements, the picking out the body at the morgue, creating an obituary, the burial, and having a repast. But it just became a situation where I did make my recovery. They weren't honestly helpful at all. And I'm just going to speak that truth because I'm not going to hold my tongue. I'm not going to allow someone to oppress me. I'm a USA citizen. I got to see at the table, and what I say matters.
That's right. I want to put up your website right now.
Yes.
You can help us go through it. This is Ethan A. Poetic.
Yeah, that's me when I got invited to join a leadership club through Mills University. It's similar to the historical, I forgot what type of club. I forgot the type of club there is for students, like a honor society. It was similar to that, but this one was more about leadership, and then you got to pay your dues. But I made sure it caught people's eye that this is my name. I'm a walking living miracle. I survived a near fatal car accident, and at 99% of death versus 1% chance of life, But I realized this: even when the odds are against you, God is still with you, because all it takes is the faith of a mustard seed to override a lot of stuff.
All right. Talk that talk, Ethan. All right. Okay, so it looks like an unusual name, Ethan A. Poetic. Who named you Ethan? How do we get the A in the poetic?
Long story short, my dad was already with a woman, and he already had a child with her, and then eventually had 2 women pregnant. The woman who he was with.
Oh my! Come on, Dad. All right.
And then my mom was pregnant. My sister's too much younger than me. Now again, my parents were never together. And based on what I learned is that my mom must have told his sister, I'm having your brother's child. The thing is, my dad's sister lived across the street.
Oh, okay.
And basically, word got back to him, but I don't know the whole truth. I just know enough.
All right.
So my mom had me on a hot Saturday at Brandywine Hospital. How I got the name Ethan is from this guy named Ethan Trower. He's a twin.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was my mom told him to come over, see my newborn baby. And he tells me, he saw me inside the bassinet looking innocent. And then my mom looks at him and says, his name's Ethan. I named him after you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I ended up meeting him for the first time in 2016. He was just as curious about me, just as I was curious about him. A stands for Alexander. I'm going to jokingly say Alexander the Great.
Okay.
But honestly, it's just Alexander. I'm not sure where it comes from. My last name originally was Vaughn, which goes back to my mom's maiden name, which goes back to her dad, because his family grew up in Old Churchfield, Maryland, Cambridge, Maryland, and the German slave masters had bought my ancestors a long time ago. There were some name changes, and as I started, making my recovery from life and start evolving, I realized, why should I take the name of a slave master's last name when none of my people, after they were free, received any reparations, a public apology, free land, or any assets and liabilities where you profited off free labor, where there was no laws, discrimination, and you expected a woman to keep producing children, therefore you get a return on your investment several times over. And sometimes people thought the person who lived inside the house with the master had it better, as opposed to the person who lived inside the house thought the person working in the fields had it better. And it explains all that in the movie. Eventually, I changed it to Poetic because I believe it was just trying to be more myself, authenticity, authentic, be creative, and have a name that really stands out for who I am as a man, a leader, an uncle, you name it. So I changed, and the other idea came from this other person, suggested the idea a long time ago on Facebook as a joke. And that joke has turned into my new identity since summer 2021, legally approved by Lancaster County Courthouse.
All right, beautiful. All right, before you go, we've got a couple of questions for you. You said in the video that at one point you were an athlete. What did you play? And what
I used to play football, where I played running back and defensive back. And then I did wrestling, then I did track. Being athletic runs in my family. Like, this one guy's my second cousin. His name is Hubert Marshall, or Hubby Marshall. He went from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, being a 1,000-point scorer.
Oh, wow.
And then made it to LaSalle College, and then eventually made it to the NBA. He mastered his craft. And then other athletes, let's see. My uncle played with a Super Bowl winner at Kutztown University. His name is Dougie Dennison, where they were both competing to play offense and defense. And then my one cousin owns the long jump or triple jump record for meters before it got switched over to yards or different measurements.
Yeah.
Also, my other families competed in the chess mount championships for track, football, and pen relays. And it's just athleticism runs on both sides of my family. Even in the Puerto Rican side, the people who live on the island who are doing soccer,
that's what's up,
baseball. Yeah, I was naturally gifted with being athletic, and I talk about that journey in my book. Where I could have been greater, but unfortunately, my home life wasn't healthy, and because of that, I'll that's more like a life's coming attraction for the viewers.
All right, and in the crawler we've got the Ethan Poetic .com where Ethan Speaks .com where you can go check this brother out. There should be a link, a tab where you can get that book. Last question. In our guiding principles, we talk about self-care, and that's something where we take time, we set aside time and resources for healing. It's essential and it's intentional. We make no mistake about it. So for Ethan A. Poetic, what do you do, brother, for self-care? How do you bring it in?
Basically, I have to look at my family history. Like, why are some people not as evolved as I am? And I overcame a death. But I also realize some people don't want to take care of their mental health. Some people don't want to have those hard conversations. And unfortunately, it could be a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
The blessing is, for me, I'm born with courage. I'm fearless.
Right.
And I'm able to adapt to a lot of things. All you got to do is show me the foundation of what it takes to do your skills, trades. I got it. Or I could just go with someone who's the master of that trade. The curse sometimes is outgrowing people.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Talk.
It is a situation where when you start educating yourself further, you're not making time for people. Eventually, someone's asking for your help, you got to go down to their level. But the thing is, if they want to catch up to you, they catch up on your level, do it your way because it's much better. And it's a situation where, I never prided myself on outgrowing people, whether it's high school, college, people in the neighborhood. It's just like TD Jake said, we're all in a different race as far as racing to cross finish lines with certain moments, chapters of our lives, being there for our, children, the community. It's just somebody else's pace is much different from other people. And unfortunately, some people don't want it bad enough to want to level up. Some people become stagnant as though there's weeds in their garden and they don't want to do the work and pick it out for the garden to fully blossom. So moving forward, I say this is that the earth is over 2,000 years old. Therefore, there's more than enough stories on overcoming adversities, hardships, improving your mental health, improving your mental wellness, to where you can defeat these things either on an individual level or with support. So there's no excuse, especially when there's resources out there. But some people, want to self-medicate on the drugs, the alcoholism, or even other forms of addiction. And eventually that addiction leads to a downward spiral to where you lose respect, your dignity, self-worth. Like, for example, some people end up in jail.
That's
as
right.
in, like, you have a gun charge and you rob somebody, that's 10 years. Therefore, you already missed part of your 20s. You can get 5.5 if you do good behavior in prison.
Yeah.
Some people who are selling drugs they're not supposed to and get charged with federal level.
That's right.
Not no state or city. Now you miss on your 20s and 30s. Now you got to use your 40s and 50s to catch up. And then there's some people, who don't want to learn until they're 60. And unfortunately, by then, most of your life's gone. And you haven't invested much in Social Security. So therefore, you're going to be on welfare with a poverty mindset, poverty lifestyle, and poverty language.
All right.
And I'll just simply say moving forward, don't allow your adversities to define you. Don't allow being a teen parent to define you. Don't allow a father not being there for you to define you. Don't be a victim. Learn how to be a victor and find mentors, support groups, coaches.
All right, Ethan, we want to thank you for sharing this space with us. Brother, would you be willing to come back at another time? And
yes, definitely.
Brother, this has been an awesome experience. And this is our brother, Ethan A. Poetic. He is a walking, talking miracle, 99% chance of death. But all he said he needed was that mustard seed of faith to bring him through, brother. We want to thank you for being here. And we look forward to talking with you again.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, family, this is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. We'll be right back.
If you can ride a bike without falling, then you're good to go. Bike Rides Matter, it's a community bike group. We get together for fun, fitness, and fellowship. We ride weekly. Right now we got a Tuesday ride where we ride on the UT Trail. We do Saturday right here at Uptown Green. That's our glow roll Saturday night. It was something I was already doing with my daughter, just riding bikes, and we just decided it would be cool to add the community because we were just finding ways to make fun given the situation. Being that everything was closed down and options were limited, bike riding is one of those things you can do without any restrictions.
You get to make new friends and just like interact with people, especially during COVID. You still like have your mask on and stuff, but it's still good to like see people.
It's a cool way to stay fit. We talk while we riding, we got music while we riding. I've met quite a few new friends and new people. I made some real cool connections throughout the city. Take advantage of the time you have. Take advantage of this pandemic. I know it's a lot of restrictions, but you can be creative and find new ways to have fun, one of which is this right here.
All right, we are back. Oh, that was a smooth transition right at the end. Oh, man. Hey, we're back. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. Family, we have been on for about an hour, so we're going to try to wrap this up and get ready for 5 minutes of heat. I want to talk about issue 1. I want to talk about the Crave event, Hoodstock. I want to mention my brother, Clyde Kennard, too. This brother, he's a general contractor, a boss. He came by the house and hooked us up on our bathroom, and talk about did I say Hoodstock and a couple other things that we had going on, and also want to bring
picnic and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I also want to bring up my sister C.D. Dotson Chambers. Sometimes when things happen in the community, we get excited about it, Jody, for a week and a half. Then it's like we just forgot. So we want to make sure that sister receives justice in every way possible. Hey, listen, I want to bring up issue 1 Oh, yeah, no. I want to bring up this one right here. The Ohio Unity Coalition defending our dignity. And just recently, we had vote no for issue 1. I think we still got some Black Voters Matters signs up. Any thoughts on that, Jody, before we move on?
Well, now I don't have to be unbiased because I'm no longer an election official and sworn in and all that stuff. I'm glad it failed. I don't know. I think it was a good attempt at seeing where people are politically, or as far as voting, to see if enough damage had been done with the gerrymandering of everything, to see if people weren't really going to come out, because mostly they don't. When it's not a presidential year or some big ticket on a thing, people is just like, oh well.
Right.
But the last couple of elections have proved that wrong.
That's right.
Being firsthand in part of it, I know for a fact that the last few issues that have went down have been the largest turnout in Lucas County.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. I mean, even if you voted yes, you voiced your opinion.
That's right.
In this day and age of social media, of mass everything going wrong, and who can you trust? People show that they can still trust in their own voice.
And also, I'll add to that. What it was supposed to do was, instead of giving that 51 majority, in order for something to pass, it needed 60%. And we looked at that as another way that they move the goalposts. Whenever we're organizing, not just posting up with signs, but when we want to get in on the legislative part, now we're going to have to do more. So we thought that, no, we should say no, one person, one vote. And big shout out to the Ohio Unity Coalition and my sister, Petey Talley, that came by and talked about this issue, and got a lot of people activated, myself included. So that was great. I want to talk about something else. And yes, we're kind of moving it along because we're here at Mott Conda, Mott Branch Library, and we don't want them flicking the lights on and off. So if it looks like Jody and I are getting one thing down, move it to the next, one thing down, move it to the next. Hey, we don't want to get kicked out. All right. And I've been kicked out of better places. All right. But I want to talk about the Crave event that this happened last Saturday at the Frederick Douglass?
Yes. No, 2 Saturdays ago.
Okay. This was 2 Saturdays. It seems like it was 1 Saturday ago.
I know. It's been such a many thing of events, and then we had the week off for election. So,
okay.
2 Saturdays, a couple of weeks, the last of my community give back, sponsorship, anonymous things that I do for my self-care.
Right.
If my community is doing better, I'm doing better.
And I got a chance to meet, you helped organize it. Also, we had Rochelle Russell. Did I say that right?
Yep.
All right. Okay. I'm getting right.
Xanders.
We had I wanted to say Xanders with an S on the end, and Michelle Williams.
And Deborah Sue.
Can't forget. And while I was speaking, I pointed her out. That's an attractive sister.
You got to embarrass me all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that was just masterfully planned. We DJ Lightning Rod and the Slang Gang dropped in, and those brothers with the slingshots. It was just a peaceful event. And I want to shout out She Speaks and Two Tone, as well as Live Hightower,
Magnova,
man. Yeah. So I'm leaving everybody out, but that was beautiful. That was beautiful. So shout out to all of them. Before we move any forward, I want to give a shout out to Clyde Kennard of Kennard Enterprises. They do the residential and commercial services. Last week we had Brother Kennard come by my house, and my wife and I, we've been wanting an up-to-date and modern bathroom. And sometimes you can have something, and year after year after year, I think we've been living in that house where we live at probably about 20 years, and we changed the little things. I would try to do something, make it worse. And Clyde came in, all the stuff that I did and some of the other people that we hired coming, man, he just an excellent job. So call this brother. He has a website, and just give me a second. I want to share this brother's website so that you can just see what all he does. Do I have his website? Let me check and see. I'm sure I do.
But while he's looking up the website, again, if you're doing anything in the city, and this is kind of a little promotion for us, and you want to come on the show, as you see, whether you can be virtual, whether you can come in studio like many of our guests. Shout out to Haley for running our page on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Black August Takeover.
Black August
all right.
Takeover.
I need to put that down. I got to say something about Black August.
But again, this is a unbought, unpaid initiative. You may see only me and Brother Washington here a lot of times, but there are many people behind the scenes that want this to keep going, that help us to keep going when we're not on air, when we're out at community events. Because I myself, all these wristbands, all these things, they come with me. So if I'm one board, all of those boards are getting any type of knowledge from the community. And if you're doing that yourself, I applaud you.
That's right. And what you see to the left of us or to the right of us, wherever you are, this is Clyde Kennard's or KennardEnterprise.com. It's their website. You can go on, look at some of the work that they've done. This is actual work because our bathroom looks like that, even though our bathroom is considerably smaller than a lot of stuff that you see. But that brother did an excellent job. All right.
I have to hit him up. I just had a friend buy a vacation house in the campground. So
all
she
right.
was asking me about that.
Hey, look, check him out. Reasonably priced, super professional, on time. When he's done, he's done. All right. When he's finished. Just a wonderful experience. I didn't have to send the brothers out to find him where he at, man. So great job. Next, I want to talk about Hoodstock. All right, and how did that happen? Let's put it up. Okay, we've got Hoodstock. That was
Hoodstock 2023.
Right. How did that even come to be? And what was that like organizing that?
There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes people don't see as community board organizers or event people. And I think after all these years, it happens. Sometimes you don't have people who, and just like with the Crave event, our board members sometimes don't always want to be visible, or the people behind the scenes. Some people fall out, some people fall in. I think you take it with the strive that you're doing good work. The cake is always the initiative or the service that you're doing to serve the community. The icing would be who shows up. If you got people taking photos or even the audience themselves showing up is the icing, because it's the icing. Because you put all this work in and planning and funding and time and energy to hope that this one moment goes right. And I can say it did. For everything that could have gone wrong or could have gone right, it found that perfect balance to where we gave away over 600 book bags to where Own Lane came out and got his clothing. So you're going to see kids in school with Own Lane merch and shirts.
Yeah.
The Brothers United came out. We had bouncy houses. People were very appreciative and they waited in line. It wasn't like somebody grabbing book bags and be like, here's my metal chair. I'm throwing that in there for our story later.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nice. The police came, they did their job, their duty, and made sure everybody was safe. And we had face painters. We had all the stuff that make a community worth being happy to be in, to be safe, to show you that you can go to the park.
This is awesome.
And have fun. For me, as an organizer, after the event, maybe a day later, then I can clock out.
Oh,
there I
they.
am.
Oh, all right, all right. That's something that of all the pictures they wanted to pick your slide.
The one that caught me off guard, and I'm actually like in this form of my life now where I'm not always in the picture with people. People just catch me off guard, doing naturally me in the background.
Yeah, yeah. No wonder. Now I see why you. They submitted all your pictures. All right. So I was there. This just looked awesome. It just looked awesome.
It was Jacquees, and he came out to make sure all the kids had something to do, a little ice Italian treat thing.
This is awesome. This was a great event. Brothers United is there.
Yep.
I see Gutter Dave's card. All right, even look, everybody got into the picture.
Shout out to Gutter Dave. Shout out to Maurice Wormley for taking photos and stuff.
And Montrese.
Hear Me Terry, City Park League and everything. And of course, shout out to our president, CEO, all that stuff right there. Devon, for no matter what adversities you go through behind the scenes, as long as you stick to your mission, you are good.
That's right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, next I wanted to talk about, man, just real quick. Was it last week? We started seeing a lot of posts about what was going down in Montgomery, Alabama.
I tried to avoid it.
Look, I was there for it. Every once in a while, something to go through your feed and you don't know what it is. Somebody will say, yep, I want to see that video, or I'm glad that you shared the video. And I'm thinking, what video? All right, what video are they talking about? Look, if you want to find the truth about something, go in the comments. All right.
Yeah.
If you want to find the truth about anything, go to the comments. I went to the comments and I saw this brother trying to tell these people that they got to move their boat, and they got belligerent with him. They attacked him. He threw his hat up. I have a black hat on today. No need to throw it up because I got Jody with me. All right. He got his own hat. All right.
Staff.
Right. And yeah. So, man, look, our brothers came out the woodwork to respect, protect, and defend. It mattered not if they were on the top tier. It mattered not if they came through the water. But everybody was hands on deck, and it gave a whole new meaning to take a seat, take several seats. So it was awesome to see our brothers and sisters, coming together. So that's what's up with that. My next thing I wanted to bring up, Jody, and I know we're trying to get through everything, was we also had a chance for the Nation of Islam here in Toledo. Most time you see us out with the Final Call newspaper, and we've got a dynamic newspaper this week, and it's Gangsters and Goons in Blue. And there's a a really important article about the abuse of the institution of law enforcement and how it's heavy-handed on Black people when it comes to abuse. So make sure you get that issue of the Final Call. Back to our back to school program, the Sisters of the Nation of Islam. They're called the MGT. That's the Muslim Girls in Training and General Civilization class. Shout out to Sister Yvette Muhammad, Sister Tanika, Sister Lakeisha, Sister Cherie, all the sisters. I know I forgot 1 or 5, but hey, it is what it is. I'll put that on Jody. But everybody came out. Even Jody came out. This event was also co-sponsored by CSRN and Intune Fitness, as well as Hoodstock. So it was a great opportunity for us, Jody, to support our community and do some good. Did I have some pictures? I probably didn't.
You might have some pictures.
Oh, you know what? I do. Let's find.
There was a cooking demonstration there as well.
Oh,
Shout out for the delicious vegan meal.
Oh, absolutely. Sister Yvette put together a cooking demonstration. I can't get the video. I don't know why. Family, if there's anyone out here that knows tech better than the people that's helping us. All right. Hit us up in the inbox. All right, man. All
but
right.
you could search it on our page as well. I'm pretty
absolutely.
sure one of our interns are going to take those photos and do
And
a
put them
little
on the page.
appreciation post.
Right. Put them on the page. And also we gave away over 50 book bags, 50 book bags with 50 bags with school supplies.
Yeah.
They weren't book bags, it was bags with school supplies.
Right.
And CSRN it was just an excellent job of everyone coming together. I've got one other thing I wanted to bring up, if I can. We talked about Haley
and Black August. So we also talked about, I'm a polar bear. Just gonna put that out there right there. But I still love the community that Scott brings out together.
Absolutely.
I remember beating many of their wrestlers when I was in school back in the day, but out of all of the
the hate is real. All right. We can't even compliment Scott without a backhanded comment. That's all right.
But it's okay. They school still exists. Mine's got tore down and rebuilt, so I can't walk the halls. But again, if you ever come to Toledo, there's some major entities that you're going to run across, Scott being one of them, UT, of course, Promafia, and then some other various things. But Scott is one of the closest knit high schools that I've kind of ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like we still trying to get ours together at some point in time with the alumni for Woodward. But, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see Scott come out.
Right. I was going to say, as soon as most of them get out of rehab, y'all can go ahead. All right. Hey, listen, for Black August, we commemorate Black August in a time of collective grief, clarity, and rage and rebellion. Mighty waves of popular uprising against the ravages of white supremacy and anti-Black racism are flooding the streets, rising within and outside of prison walls and reverberating throughout communities and institutions. Upon centuries of enslavement and subjugation exists an intolerable present where the state continues to wield violence and force against Black people in the form of mass criminalization and incarceration, repression and militarized police brutality, and willful neglect and discrimination, only amplified in the face of a deadly pandemic. And so Black people resist, first to survive, and like generations of ancestors before, to fundamentally alter our collective condition and make freedom real. This is the legacy of Black August. Finally, the month of August is also rich with the history of Black resistance outside, from the Haitian Revolution to the Watts Rebellion, the Ferguson Uprising, and for Toledo, the May 2020 CSRN-led Police Accountability Rally. Black August is a reminder of the power and unity and a mandate to continue to struggle. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It's our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. That's right. So Black August, we celebrate and we thank Haley Sheares for jumping off our Black August with our takeover. This week we've got Eaton Urban Garden and Sister Yvette Muhammad is going to take over our page for whatever she wants to post. And our last, I don't know if it's going to be CSRN or we're going to reach out to our brother Carter Thomas to talk about health and wellness. Man, let me mention Ceedie.
Yep.
Let me mention Ceedie.
And we'll have to throw her GoFundMe back on the page just in case,
in case.
So people get a chance to click on, because, going through social media sometimes can be a little hectic.
Right.
The algorithm doesn't let you always want to see the things that help out, but the things that cause you to sit there and stay on it longer.
Right. So, in case you forgot, family, Ceedie Dotson Chambers' husband, Brian, is in prison for disciplining his son. Nothing that I wouldn't do myself, nothing that I wouldn't do right now. However, he has over 10 years in prison for disciplining his son, where we see pedophiles, rapists, and murderers, and politicians get slaps on the wrist for doing 10 times more. So we've got her GoFundMe. is in the crawler. We want you to log on and support the Chambers family. We love them. And we're looking forward to creating a rally soon. We're looking forward to creating a groundswell of support because most times, as I said before, when stuff jump off, we on it for a week and a half, if that, and then for some reason we just forget. So wanted to bring that. I think that covers everything, Jody. And if it's something that we forgot, we'll bring it up next week. And please, family, can you grab me that newspaper? The tech team put it really small down there. All right. And I want you to make sure you get this issue of the Final Call newspaper. It's called Gangsters and Goons in Blue. 2 black men barely survived a brutal assault in Mississippi by a group of white cops called the Goon Squad. So that's what they call themselves. The officers pleaded guilty, but what comes next and what does justice look like for their victims? So, and we even see some shades of that even locally where the person that's supposed to be training the Toledo police is fraternizing with the trainees. So we can't even look, even if we said, okay, TPD, we're going to try to stand by you. And this week, we'll only put up 10 defunded police sides, all right? All right. Instead of the customary 11. But you can't even train them without trying to sleep with them. You know, what type of madness is that? You know, you can't even train them without sleeping with them. And that just goes against professionalism. And it also muddies the water too, that somebody can't get properly trained if they're sleeping or fraternizing with the trainer. So come on, TPD, get it together. All right. The streets is watching and we're watching too. Jody, I think that I've covered probably everything. Shout out once again to Ethan A. Poetic for dropping in and presenting to us that he's a walking, talking miracle. I think that I'm going to just shut it down on my part. I'm done.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, we want to thank you for continuing to come back every single week or every other week, depending on what we have going on. Your support and everything keeps us going.
That's right.
Not a funded initiative. I get tired. He gets tired. We got a lot of stuff going on, but these couple of hours out of our week is a way for us to communicate with you and let you know that we're here independently. Right. This isn't something for the cameras or something telling you to donate to us. We'll get to that later. But
yeah, we'll get to that later. All right. Don't mess up my bag. All right.
It's also a way for us to reach out to our community, for you to hear voices that after the first news report or whatever is gone, they're not coming back to you.
They're not. Nope.
After the initial icing, the rest is just, whatever.
That's
Do
right.
great with your life. So,
that's right.
And if you got a story to tell, if you got something coming up, hit us up in our inbox. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, or contact me or Brother Washington directly if you got something and you can be available for that Tuesday. We would love to hear your story. We would love to, if you got a commercial, a clip or something, this is free. This isn't call us, we'll tell you what the deal is for how many weeks and stuff like that. No, this is your community. We are a reflection as best we could possibly be of you.
All right. I like that. All right. It's time for 5 minutes of heat. What do we have? And man, what are you bringing today?
There we go. So, I've been, I guess you could say, a poet for nearly a decade now, or at least that's what people consider me as telling my life story, as finding a way to make it relatable to people without going too far. Although some of my writings and illustrations do take it to that point because I am still me.
All right.
If you see part of yourself in me through my stories, then I thank you. So in that I wanted to put something together as a way, because next year I start my farewell tour, at least in this chapter of my life. I've done everything I could possibly do. I put myself in museums and libraries and spoken in political parties and activist parties, all because of art, all because of just wanting to be heard.
Yes,
So
sir.
after being heard, this is the other part of an entertainer that most people don't get. And me and Brother Washington were talking about this earlier. I'm at a place where I'm it on my page soon. I'm on hiatus after the award ceremony and stuff like that. But let's begin. Peace. Truth is, I perform and create to keep my demons at bay. It silences the sound of doubt, regret, feelings of not being needed or unworthy, yes, unworthy of praise. Every stage, community event, new poem, or piece of art keeps me alive. Just one more, yes, one more day. To know that I did something that inspired someone else quells the idea that I should just disappear today, muffles the sound of all those that told me I wasn't good enough to stay. It's not the applause, snaps, purchases made, or seen, yes, seen my persona on the event that day, but knowing, yes, knowing I am needed for at least one more day. It can get very lonely quickly when people think that you're everywhere, when the feeling of you being brand new or unknown has worn off, and now you're just another note in the chorus of people who do things. But you're really just trying to survive, trying to outweigh the thought of being useless, trying to prove to yourself that it wasn't just a fluke, wasn't just some off chance that people decided to listen to you, to read you, to conversate about what you drew. Continually trying to keep up pace in the never ending race of falling into obscurity. You're not shiny anymore. You're not moldable anymore. You've done so much for so long that you're quickly forgotten about